All right, and David, I believe you're down there. Yes, okay. David, if you would start us off with 1.5 minute opening statement. Thanks so much.
Well, good evening. I'm David Smith. I seek to return to the Plano City Council as a council member for all Plano, and that includes all of you. I bring 31 years of civic engagement here in Plano, including 6 years on the City Council a while back. I came on City Council from outside the political establishment at that time, and I brought the concerns, perspectives, and good ideas of a lot of people who felt they were left out of city decision making. At the same time, I made friends with the others on council. We worked ourselves into becoming a collaborative body that brought together the views of everybody. When we all had the same information, we made good decisions, and I look forward to returning to a city council that returns to that model. And I will be doing more than just sitting there on city council, waiting for things to come along. I will be active. I will do research. I will meet with you. I'll meet with other stakeholders. Your input on city issues will not be limited to just 2 minutes on Monday evenings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Bill Lyle. My parents were coming northbound on 75 and they exited Campbell, so I grew up in Richardson. So I don't have the education that y'all got up here in Plano. My father passed away in June of 1988, and I took a lawnmower out of my mom's garage and my piggy bank and printed some business cards. And from there, I started the landscape business that I still run today. When I had a truck when I was 16 that I had bought with my own money, I used to come up to pick up labor in Plano. And I would pull down the alley between J Place and Avenue K, and that's where Keene Landscaping was. And I dreamed of a day that I would own a place. There was like 15 trucks and trailers lined up there and some guard dogs. And I just thought, there's just no way that a kid with a lawnmower can do that. And today I own that property and one on each side of it. And so I am the epitome of the American dream. I'm proof that if you work hard, sometimes education is your ticket, but sometimes it's just elbow grease. Sometimes it's just willing to do what other people won't do. And that meant throwing away a lot of trash and a lot of rotten grass, but I kept working, and it's worked out really well for me. And so it's a real privilege to be here and just have you guys listen and nod. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the invitation to attend. My name is Julie Holmer, and I'm running for City Council Place 7. I grew up with Plano. My family moved here in 1981, the same year that Collin Creek Mall opened. We moved here from abroad. My parents are American citizens, but they took a job opportunity overseas. So I was actually born in Milan, Italy, and then we moved to London, and then we got to Plano as fast as we could. So I went to all the Plano schools. I was a Sigler Roadrunner, a Wilson Ram, a Vines Viking, and a Plano Wildcat. And some of you might have caught that they're no longer the Sigler Roadrunners. They changed it to Stars. I don't know what the prejudice is against Roadrunners, but anyway. So I grew up here. I graduated from Plano schools, and I left and went off to college for 4 years, and then I came right back to Plano to start my career and then start my family. I've watched it grow. I grew up with Plano. When I left for college, there was nothing in between Plano and McKinney. When I graduated and moved back, I took a job with the hospital in McKinney. And I got my first cell phone because there was absolutely nothing between Plano and McKinney. And so, heaven forbid, my car break down. I've invested in the community. I've invested in learning about my community. I'm a Leadership Plano graduate. I'm a graduate of the Plano Citizens Police Academy as well as the Fire Academy. My Leadership Plano classmate threw me off back there with class 30, and no, it's okay, Nancy, it's all right. So anyway, I look forward to serving Plano because I love the city, I'm passionate about it, and I want to give back by serving on the board. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sandeep, and I'm running for Plano City Council to make a positive difference in the city where I live, and I love the city. My top priorities will be the density is a major problem in the Plano. And not only the density, the next problem which nobody is visioning, it's a housing authority, which is coming towards us, and the Plano will become a Dallas. So I am zero for the apartments. No more apartments in the Plano. I support low taxes and the fiscal responsibility. I have a good budgeting experience because I am a small business owner. I am one of the top realtor in the state of Texas. I worked in corporate also. So I have tons of experience in budgeting and financing, and there is a lot of fat in city budget, which I have many ideas how to control them and not to raise the taxes and control the budget. And another problem is the traffic congestion problem in Plano, which we need to address as a city council. And we need to create some overpasses or bypasses. We have to invest and those kind of things. Plus, I am full for Plano Police and Fire Department. They should be fully funded and protected. And finally, I will work without rest. I will give my 100% to the Plano City. Thank you.
Good evening. I moved towards the danger, not away from it. That's why you saw me leave earlier. My name is Chris Robertson. I'm running for Plano City Council, Place 7. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'm a husband, a father, a teacher, and a veteran. I come from a long line of veterans. My grandfather was a recipient of the Purple Heart in World War II. My dad was a recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross in Vietnam. My brother and sister both deployed to Iraq, and I deployed twice to Afghanistan. My first deployment, I was responsible for the safety and security of 500 U.S. soldiers and Afghan local nationals and on forward operating base, and responsible for $18 million worth of government taxpayer-funded property. On forward operating base, our forward operating base was routinely attacked by mortars and small arms fire. You can almost predict when the attacks would occur based on the technological difficulties that the Taliban had. Attacks would usually occur between sunup and sundown, with the occasional nighttime attack. I remember I had just gotten back from hygiene. I was getting ready to go to breakfast when I heard a mortar impact off in the distance. That's a little over 100 yards from my tent to the base defense operations cell where I work. I grabbed my rifle, headed out of the tent, and started running towards the base defense operations center. The closer I got to it, the more I could hear the snap of the projectile breaking the sound barrier above my head. It's a very distinct sound that I'll never forget, and I hope no one in here ever has to hear it. I tell you this to illustrate the fact that I've always put the duty before my own personal safety. Thank you.
All of them right on time, very impressive. All right, we're going to go into our questions, and Bill, we're starting with you. I thought the question we had was a little milquetoast, so I changed it. So this is what we're going to have. Good, that's awesome. So this is our question. As you know, the last legislative session, they passed HB 2. HB 2 creates a trigger for cities of 3.5%. The question is, would you oppose any budget that is more than 3.5% annual increase? And do you think that have an impact on city services?
Would I oppose any budget?
It's more than a 3.5% increase, that's the trigger. And would that have an impact on city services?
Let me tell you what I support. I support fully funding our police, fire, and EMS. I support A-plus service. Whatever that cost is, whether it's the effective tax rate or not, we as a community don't want to sacrifice those services because of $1. And so if it's the effective tax rate, fine, it's the effective tax rate. But at the bottom line, it's what it costs to provide public safety and to provide A-plus service, and that's the tax bill that we all have to fund. And so whether it's 3.5% or whether there's a savings because there's been an influx somewhere else, the bill is the bill, and we have to raise taxes or lower taxes to make sure that we're keeping those things first. Thank you.
I would echo Bill's comments. We do need to make sure that we're fully funding our first responders. That needs to be a top priority. We want to keep our taxes as low as we can, but we can't. It would be ignorant of me to say, no, I'm not going to raise them when I don't know what the situation is. We don't know what's going to happen with our property taxes. Excuse me, not our property, our sales tax, just like what we just went through with the pandemic. We had a reduction in our city fees. So I would have to have all the information. I couldn't make an educated statement as to whether I would approve that or not. I mean, the goal, I'm with Bill. I want to make sure that our city services stay stellar so that we continue to be on these amazing lists of best cities to live in. So I'm with Bill. I would do whatever it takes to make sure that we keep our services at the level that they are, if not even better. Thank you.
So my answer is, see, this is the thing I do every day for the budgeting and how to balance these kind of things. It's not the question of only you are spending on the police or protection. Yeah, we have to do that. But there are certain things in the budget which need some good opportunity to rectify them and create opportunity over there to use that money into that. I am not going in favor of raising by 3% or 4% or 2% even because of this pandemic. Like a lot of people are facing so much of problems. We should create a new opportunities in getting more revenues generation instead of raising the taxes. Thank you.
Repeat the question, please.
Yes. The HB2, 3.5% trigger. Would you oppose any budget that is more than 3.5% annual increase? And would that have an impact on city services?
So I would not be focused on a number. I would be focused on transparency and having everybody put their cards out on the table. And I'm going to make critical and thoughtful decisions based on the betterment of Plano as it stands.
Yeah, I stand with my colleagues here. Our budget process needs to start with the needs of the city, public safety at the top. The tax rate should be an output from the process, not an input. And I will use my expertise as a former city finance committee member. I was on it during all 6 years of my service. We will make the tax rate as low as it can be. Information is still coming in. We don't know exactly how it will turn out. I think I'll hazard to guess we probably will not have to have a 3.5% increase, but what the increase is, or if there's no increase, that is to be determined by a close look at the actual needs of the city.
Well, our second question, I would note that it's going to be an interesting city council there because their answers that they just shared are markedly different from previous answers that city council members shared. So good luck with that this year. Having said that, because one of these gentlemen or ladies is going to win, question 2, I believe this is going to Julie. And this is, well, just bear with me on this. It's kind of a 2-part. There are a lot of candidates in this race. Please rank the following factors that voters should consider when choosing a city council member. So what I'm trying to do is give you the opportunity to differentiate yourselves. Please rank the following factors that voters should consider when choosing a city council member and why. There's 3. Diversity, policy beliefs, and experience. So I'm asking you to rank those. Diversity, policy beliefs, and experience. What differentiates you from the rest? Julie.
Why?
You do it however you want. There it is.
Okay, all right. Well, Plano is a very diverse city. I definitely embrace diversity, and would be nice to have another woman on council. As far as policy, I got to go to experience, really. I think I've been here for 40 years. I've lived here. I've served on numerous nonprofit boards, 8 years on the Historic Downtown Plano Association, 6 years on the Plano Parks Foundation. Wow, that went fast. And also, I think what makes me a strong candidate is the bipartisan support that I have. I have Pat Evans, former Pat Evans, supporting me, Yoram Solomon, David Downs, Chris Downs, Sarah Akers, Pat and Angela Minor, Pat Gallagher. Those are very conservative people. I also have Mark Ferris, Lori Birch, Laura and Alex Johnson, David Evans, and Dolly Thomas. So I feel like being able to represent everyone in the community and have everyone's ear is a strength that I can offer. Thank you.
So on diversity, I don't have to say anything. So I'll save those seconds for me. As far as the policies, I am a hardcore conservative. And again, I don't have to say my policies also to you guys. The experience is the most important thing, which most of the people you don't know. So I worked in corporate for 25 years. I have that kind of experience. I worked in HOAs for so many years, so I know about the planning and city and all those things. I worked for tons of community organizations, and still I'm working. I conduct every year medical clinics, eye clinics, everything, whatever I can do for the community. And during this past storm, I was driving all 3 days, supplying food to police, fire, and blankets, and waters, and food to Grace Church, and all those places. You can go in my Facebook, you can see all those things. Thank you very much.
So rank them in order. So policy beliefs, number 1, experience, number 2, everybody can learn. Nobody comes in as an expert. We'll all gain experience. And diversity, number 3. We should be judged on our merit, not the color of our skin or our gender or anything else.
Right, other 3, I rate experience as the top consideration. It's not only where you've been, it's the skills you've developed in getting things done. Second on my list is diversity. If you've seen all the candidates here, I think we're going to end up with that. That won't be a problem this go-around. And I put policy as last because it's not really that important what my personal policy views are. What is important is what your views are. We are here to represent you, and if we do a good job, we do a good job in learning what your position is and voting accordingly on council.
So I've tried to run a little bit of a different campaign, perhaps that y'all have seen my signs. Perhaps. It's made a little national news, and the Dallas Morning News picked it up. But there's more to the story. If there's some envelopes on the back table, and they've got Sasquatch stamped on them. And inside there, you'll find a couple coasters. Well, that's 2 of a 7 coaster set that I did. And there's 7 unique pieces of art that are on these coasters. There's 15,000 of them that are about to get mailed out all over Plano. And so if you go to my website, you'll see all the different meanings of the coasters. And you can't really talk about diversity without talking about equity and inclusion. And so as a landscaper, that's what I do for a living, the best landscapes come from all these different plants that have different abilities, different heights, different textures and colors. And it's when everything works together that you have the prettiest landscape, the prettiest city. And so 3 of the coasters are different plants. There's a windmill, a mockingbird that represents our Parks and Recs department, That means I got to be quiet. But I'll be back.
And I'm sure we're all ready for our closing statements. And Sandeep, you're up first.
Thank you very much for allowing me today to present myself, and thanks everyone. And in the closing statement, I can say, vote for me. And because I will bring a unique experience to the City Council, and this will be a great privilege for City of Plano also, to electing a first Indian American to the City Council. You will create a history for that. And as well as with my background and experience, that will help the city, and I will help my fellow councilmen, Rick, Anthony, Lily Bao, and to present a good conservative agenda in the city and preserve the rights of the people of the Plano. And I am my own boss, so I don't have to work for anyone. I can be available for 100% for the city. And I have two kids. They both graduated from UT Dallas. Now they are in Ivy Leagues in Cornell and NYU. They are studying over there. So I've raised my kids in such a nice way. I have a lovely wife. We are married for 30 years, and I have two good German shepherds. So I love everything. And for me, I live in west part of the Plano, with very little part which comes under Denton County. So thank you very much. Please vote for me, and you can see my signs all over the Plano and see all the small businesses are supporting me in a big way.
Thank you again for all of you being here. My 20 years in the military has me grounded in a philosophy of selfless service. I want to continue to serve, just in a different capacity. I want to represent the best interests of everybody in Plano. Additionally, Plano needs leadership they can trust and who believes in transparency. My experience as a leader has routinely been faced with difficult decisions on the battlefield and in the classroom. Whether they are budgetary decisions, manpower decisions, or in my case, decisions that directly affect the safety and security of more than 500 of your sons and daughters on the battlefield. I did all this with the utmost care and scrutiny. My background demonstrates how uniquely qualified I am to represent the voice of everybody who lives in Plano. Thank you.
Thank you all for staying for this last place that is up. I'll highlight a couple of strengths that I'll bring back to council. One is the finance area that I mentioned earlier. When I got on council before, I helped steer the city budget down to a level that was lean and healthy. We were starting to stray into things outside core city services, but we got into lean and healthy mode, which is where we want to be. Deliver the excellent services while keeping taxes as low as possible. I also want to mention that I am a neighborhood advocate. And on City Council and later as part of the Plano Homeowners Council, if y'all are horrified by the number of apartments that are in the city now, you should have seen the plan back before the 90s. We got it drastically reduced, and I'll continue in that direction. We need the right types of housing in the right places, and that doesn't mean none of one or all of another. But we'll make some common sense decisions. We'll follow the guidance from the comprehensive plan, which hopefully all of y'all will have some input on. And thank you for your time this evening.
told you I'd be back. I'm back. I just want to talk about my people that I'm running against me. Sandeep, it was nice to meet you tonight. It's clear that you have a heart for our city, and thank you for going through this sacrifice. Chris, hearing of your service to our country and our military makes my heart swell with pride, and I thank you for your service to our country. Julie, if I could give you a title, I'd call you Miss Plano. The fact that you've been around and served in so many million different ways is something to be really proud of, and so thank you. Mr. Smith, thank you for your past service on our council. And folks, as great as they are, I'm going to ask you to vote for me for Plano City Council Place 7. I've been endorsed by Sasquatch, as you well know. But I'd encourage you to go to lileforplano.com, check out the coasters. If you voted in the last municipal election, there's likely you'll get one in the mail. I'm a serious candidate. I'm a small business owner that wants to get the government out of the way, fully fund it to keep it excellent for our city, but get it out of the way where we can. Let's see, how should I close here? I think I'll just give you my 30 seconds back. Julie, you're up. Thank y'all.
Well, thanks for saving the best for last. I've had a chance to get to know Bill over the last few months, and I really respect the fact that he and I can disagree on things, but we can always have respectful conversations. So I would say I stand out in this crowd because I have relationships in Plano. I have connections with a lot of people. I know who the movers and shakers are. I know who the leaders are. I had a friend reach out to me this week whose husband is housebound. He has ALS. She said, do you know if there's any way I can get him vaccinated? Who can I call? So I emailed the COVID, Brad McCutcheon with the fire department, Peggy Harrells with the outreach, Casey Prince, who's on council and overseeing the vaccination rollout at Baylor Scott and White, and our city manager. And then my friend responded back with her contact information and explained a little bit more. Within less than 2 hours, she sent me a photograph of her husband being vaccinated, and it was just she said it made her cry. So I mean, I know who to get in touch with to make things happen. I make things happen. And I'm also an advocate for businesses because I've been a small business owner for 18 years now. I had a brick and mortar restaurant in downtown Plano. I know that it's difficult navigating the waters of getting permits, of getting certificates of occupancy. I want to make sure that the city is not an obstacle for small businesses to be able to be successful, especially when we're in a pandemic and times are just hard enough as it is. So I encourage you to go to my website, Julie for Plano. You can get involved there by donating, by signing up for a yard sign. My phone number's on there. You're always welcome to call me. I'm here for you. Please vote for Julie for Plano City Council, Place 7. Appreciate it.
Three things to share with you. Don't leave without taking a moment to talk to the candidates as you go out. I know they'd love you to stop at their table, get their phone number, their email, get some campaign paraphernalia. I saw lots of yard signs available. You have a lot of work to do, especially in this race, and I'm really impressed with the candidates. Thank you so much for being here.